Hello, and welcome to the plan phase of the continuous quality improvement cycle. As a Boys and Girls Club, you and your team have spent time and resources collecting information on your club, from the National Youth Outcomes Initiative survey to tracking attendance and other data, and now it's time to put all of that data to use. Clubs help members build a variety of skills, from academic to social-emotional. By practicing positive youth development, clubs develop positive relationships with members, provide support of environments, and offer intentional, engaging programming. To capture all of the magic that occurs in our walls, we have to look at several sources of information. The Continuous Quality Improvement, or CQI, toolkit incorporates multiple types of data. To help you and your team make sense of everything you collect, we will be sorting each set of data into the following 4 categories, or buckets. This means that instead of thinking about data from a particular source, we will be separating, organizing, and grouping it into the following 4 categories: quality practices, attendance and participation, youth outcomes, and club experiences. Let's take a look at what each data bucket is and what information falls into it. We'll start with quality practices. Quality practice data comes from any tool used to assess quality staff practices at your club. Examples include the Youth Program Quality Assessment, or YPQA, Assessment of Program Practices Tool, or APTO, and the Quality Mentoring Assessment Path, or QMAP, to name a few. Next is our attendance and participation bucket. This is any information that tells you who is coming to your club and how often. Examples include attendance, program participation, and demographic information. Next, we have the Youth Outcomes data bucket. Youth Outcomes data refers to information clubs collect to measure the success of key program indicators, such as the NYOI academic success, healthy lifestyles, and good character and citizenship measures. It can also include other measurement tools: Survey of Academic and Youth Outcomes, Youth Survey, or SAOY, program pre- and post-tests, information from schools like school attendance, grades, and other learned skills, or any of the additional NYOI optional modules. Last, but certainly not least, is the club experience bucket. If you're like many club professionals, when you hear the words club experience, you think of the optimal club experience measure on the National Youth Outcomes Initiative Youth Survey. Though the club experience measure and NYOI are a major component of this data bucket, they are not the only way we can assess how youth are experiencing our clubs. The club experiences data bucket represents information that speaks to how members, parents, and other participants experience your club and the programs or activities within it. Examples include, but are not limited to, NYOI club experience measures, pulse checks such as polls and listening sessions, program surveys, NYOI staff survey, focus groups, parent surveys, and the Survey of Academic and Youth Outcomes survey, SAOS and SAOY. Collecting and using a variety of data helps to paint a more robust picture of how the club impacts the lives of young people. It provides staff with additional context and information when examining the effectiveness of their programs and quality of their staff practices, and allows for the creation of more precise and targeted improvement plans. Once you've collected your data, you'll want to get it organized. Look at all of the information you have available to you and sort it into the appropriate buckets with your team. The data collection worksheet found on the CQI Toolkit's plan page can help you sort your data and get it ready to review. Clubs are fun, vibrant places that always have something going on. Because of this, it can be challenging to dedicate time as a team to review data and create a plan for improvement. We recommend organizing a formal time with your staff team when everyone is least likely to be pulled away or distracted, such as a close-down day already dedicated to staff training or a regularly scheduled meeting before the club opens. Make sure to select a time that accommodates the schedules of as many of your staff team as possible. Your data-driven planning meeting should include a diverse group of staff. It should include your club site director and frontline program staff. Be sure to include part-time staff. Inviting everyone to the data-driven planning table helps to address some common pitfalls in improvement planning: missing information and lack of buy-in. The more people you have looking at your data, the greater perspective your team will have as you make meaning from the information in front of you. For example, the person running your club's meal service may have important insight into safety issues at the lunch table that a program director may miss because they use mealtime to talk to parents and community partners. It is easier to make improvements at the club when everyone's voice has been heard, and your team agrees on the direction you will go together. Whole staff buy-in is an integral part to your plan's success, so do your best to invite as many team members as possible. Once you've gathered your diverse team of staff and selected a day and time that accommodates as many of your team's schedules as possible, it is time to look at all of your data and identify what you would like to improve. Take time to look at the data you have collected in each data bucket, and for each set you and your team review, you should ask, what are our highs and lows? What surprises us about this data? What affirms what we already know? What would we like to celebrate? And finally, what would we like to improve? After identifying areas your team would like to improve, focus your efforts by prioritizing which improvement areas will have the highest impact on your club and its members. An improvement goal may take a significant amount of staff effort or outside resources, but its impact on your club would make it worth it. Conversely, an improvement goal may require too many resources or staff commitment, only to have a small impact on your members. Remember to be realistic about the number of goals your site sets during planning. One way to do this is to select 3 goals for your team: one easy or low-hanging fruit goal, one medium goal that requires effort but is readily achievable, and finally, one hard goal that requires more resources or effort that will be worth the investment. Be sure to visit the CQI Toolkit's plan page for resources on leading planning conversations at your site, prioritizing improvement areas, and formulating goals for your team. Once you've taken the time to look at your data with your team and identified what improvements you would like to make, it's time to put your plans into a concrete space. One way to make sure that your team's goals are set up for action is to make them SMART. A SMART goal gives direction to what your team wants to achieve and increases the likelihood of your team's success. The S in SMART represents specific. Vague goals, such as increases average daily attendance, illustrates what your team would like to correct, but does not provide a plan to get there. How much should your average daily attendance increase? By when should it increase? Why is increasing your average daily attendance important? Are some of the questions you might ask as you work to make your goals SMART. In order to answer some of these questions, we move to the second SMART letter, measurable. Write your action plans so that you can measure success between the start and end point. You can measure success through any of the data sets you used to create your plan, or by adding measures to provide more information. The A in SMART stands for achievable. Be honest about the time and resources you and your team have available for making improvements. As you are making your plans, consider budgets, funder priorities, time, and any other internal or external factors that may impact your ability to reach your goal. Next, we have R. Keep your goals relevant. Consider the following questions while setting goals with your team. Do these improvement goals make sense for my club? Will they improve the experience for my members, staff, and other stakeholders? Do these goals align with my organization's missions and values? Finally, we reach the T in SMART. It is challenging to determine success when you don't have a deadline to measure it by. Making your goal time-bound will help keep your team motivated and on track. When setting a timeline, be specific. Instead of writing 1 year from now, consider by the 31st of December. To help your improvement plans stay on track, assign a lead staff to each task, and be sure to record and display it in a place where your whole team can see progress. Improvement plans should be revisited and updated periodically to ensure that any progress or necessary changes are recorded. Now that you've had a chance to think about collecting, organizing, and planning with multiple sources of data, take time to identify your staff team and set a date to meet. Make the experience fun and engaging with food and games to break up the planning time. This time is about identifying your club's improvement priorities and carving out a path to get there. Be sure to check back into the CQI Toolkit website for additional resources coming soon to help you and your club plan with data.